Imagine, if you will, a world where the clatter of swords and the solemn chants of monks fill the air, where the shadows of towering castles stretch across cobblestone streets, and where the pulse of life beats to the rhythm of a bygone era. Here in this vivid tapestry of the Middle Ages, we find not just tales of chivalric valor, but also the intricate dance of survival against the backdrop of time. Greetings, dear listener, from wherever you might be, perhaps curled up in your favorite reading nook, or maybe on a tranquil evening walk. I am thrilled that you've chosen to embark on this journey with me through the annals of history. Before we delve into the depths of yesteryears, I'd love to hear from you. Where in this vast world are you joining us, and what time does your day embrace as you tune in? Do share in the comments, and let's weave our stories together. As we prepare to explore the Middle Ages, a period often shrouded in mystery and misinterpretation, let's pause to appreciate its complexity. For many, this era evokes images of gallant knights in majestic cathedrals. Yet beneath this veneer of grandeur, there's a rich, often overlooked narrative of human endurance and innovation, particularly in the realm of healing. In today's world, with our sophisticated medical advancements, it's challenging to grasp the stark reality of healthcare during those centuries. Our medieval ancestors grappled with relentless infectious diseases and a rudimentary understanding of the human body. However, their resilience shone through. They developed methods to treat the sick, to soothe the wounded, and to find solace in their suffering. Let us now wander through the landscapes of medieval healthcare, uncovering the medical theories that guided them, the common ailments that plagued them, and the ingenious solutions they devised. Join me as we peel back the layers of time to reveal the heart of an era that, while distant, pulses with the same human spirit that beats within us today. Imagine for a moment a time stripped of the luxuries we now consider essential. Envision the gentle glow of candlelight casting whimsical shadows across the rough-hewn walls of humble cottages and grand stone castles alike. Picture a life where the suns rise and fall, the changing seasons, and the solemn tolling of church bells set the pace of existence. In this vivid tableau, the specter of illness and injury was ever present, a constant companion to the medieval soul. In those days, without the shield of modern sanitation, the miracle of antibiotics, or the precision of surgical advancements, every soul was at the mercy of chance when it came to health. A mere scratch or a fever could herald doom for the impoverished, while even those of noble birth could not escape the cruel hand of disease. Yet amidst these adversities, the people of the Middle Ages exhibited an extraordinary resilience, a tenacity to survive and thrive. They wove together a rich fabric of knowledge, intertwining ancient scholarly wisdom with the earthy remedies handed down through countless generations. Their lives were a tapestry of survival, where faith in the divine, the sage advice of wise women, and the skilled hands of dedicated healers offered solace and hope. As we delve into this exploration of medieval healthcare, let us do so with hearts open to empathy and minds filled with wonder. Rather than viewing their world through the critical eyes of our advanced era, let us step into their shoes, feel the cold stone beneath our feet, and breathe the air tinged with the smoke of hearth fires. What stories of human spirit, of courage, and innovation await us in this shadowy past? How did they face their fears and find their cures? As we delve deeper into the annals of history, let us pause and truly understand the context in which medieval medical practices emerged, the very human stories woven into the fabric of their time. Isn't it astonishing to think that beneath the layers of time, the hopes and fears of the medieval people echo our own? They too sought solace, yearned for relief, and stood in awe of the enigmatic human body and the world that cradled it. So, dear listener, whether you're settling into the quiet of night or greeting the dawn with fresh eyes, I beckon you to let your thoughts drift, to be swept away to an era long gone. Together, we'll embark on a journey through the intriguing, often astonishing realm of medieval healthcare. In doing so, we might just uncover a profound respect for the tenacity and cleverness of those who came before us, confronting adversity with what they had. Let us commence our exploration by examining how medieval minds comprehended the human body and the origins of disease. Central to their medical philosophy was the theory of the four humors, a doctrine that attempted to explain health through the balance of bodily fluids. Imagine a world where the boundaries between medicine, spirituality, and folklore blurred seamlessly. Medieval healthcare was indeed a rich tapestry interwoven with threads of ancient wisdom, local knowledge, religious fervor, and the stark practical demands of life. In this intricate web of care, one figure stood out: the apothecary. These were the master craftsmen of remedies, the keepers of medicinal knowledge who bridged the gap between the learned physician and the common folk. Apothecaries were not merely pharmacists. They were the heartbeat of community health, crafting and distributing cures for myriad afflictions. Working in concert with physicians and surgeons, yet also serving those unable to access formal medical care, their shops became sanctuaries of healing. Picture the apothecary's shop, a place of mystery and promise, where the scent of herbs and the quiet clink of glass vials filled the air, a testament to the medieval quest for health and well-being. Ah, the medieval apothecary. What a treasure trove of herbal lore and alchemical wonder it was. Imagine stepping into a world where every jar and vial holds a story, a cure, a mystery. The shelves. Oh, they were not mere storage spaces, but repositories of ancient wisdom, lined with earthenware pots, each inscribed in the timeless language of Latin, with names like licorice root, fennel seed, and the elusive borage leaves. Bunches of dried plants dangled from the rafters, their scents intermingling, creating an aromatic symphony that danced through the air, beckoning the curious and the afflicted. And in the heart of this sanctuary, the apothecary's workshop buzzed with activity. Here, amidst the clinking of glass and the soft hum of a furnace, the magic of healing took shape. The apothecary was not merely a keeper of herbs, but a master of an ancient art, a blend of botanical knowledge, the alchemy of practical chemistry, and the sacred traditions passed down through generations. Skilled in the art of identifying and harvesting medicinal plants, these apothecaries would venture into gardens, fields, and forests, their eyes keen for nature's gifts. Many even cultivated their own gardens, ensuring a constant supply of the freshest, most potent ingredients. Once gathered, the transformation began. Roots and bark, cleaned with care, were dried and then pulverized into fine powders with the rhythmic dance of mortar against pestle. Flowers and leaves, in their turn, were either steeped in boiling water to draw out their essence in infusions, or bathed in alcohol to birth potent tinctures. And what of the ointments and salves? They were crafted with a meticulous touch, melting beeswax or animal fats, blending them with herbal extracts and the essence of oils, each mixture a testament to the apothecary's skill. But let us not forget the complexity of their concoctions. Remedies often involved a symphony of ingredients, each measured with precision, each component a note in the healing melody. Among these, the legendary theriac stood out, a supposed panacea, an antidote to every poison, a remedy for countless maladies. Its recipe was as varied as the regions it was brewed in, incorporating elements as diverse as opium, cinnamon, viper flesh, and powdered elk hoof. Yet not all remedies were so exotic. Many were simple, derived from the earth, yet no less effective. In this realm of healing, every preparation was an act of reverence to the ancient craft of healing, a testament to the apothecary's dedication to alleviate suffering and restore health. Imagine the apothecary's shop, a sanctuary of healing amidst the hustle and bustle of medieval life. Here the air was thick with the scent of mint, sage, and chamomile herbs, known not just for their fragrance, but for their power to soothe the common discomforts of daily life. Indigestion, headaches, insomnia. How these ailments troubled the people. Yet with simple preparations, these common plants transformed into remedies, offering relief and comfort. Beyond these everyday elixirs, the apothecary's repertoire included syrups that eased the coughs and colds of winter, ointments that soothed the angry rashes of summer, and tonics that invigorated the weary soul. But the apothecary was more than a mere maker of medicines. They were the heart of community health, a beacon of guidance in times of need. People flocked to them, their hearts heavy with worry, seeking not just cures but the comfort of understanding. The apothecary would listen, their ears attuned to the subtleties of human suffering, asking questions about diet, lifestyle, and the very air they breathed. With gentle wisdom, they might suggest a plate filled with vibrant vegetables or caution against the indulgence in rich, heavy foods. In darker times when plague whispered through the streets, they advised burning fragrant herbs to cleanse the air, a simple yet profound act of prevention. For graver maladies, they stood shoulder to shoulder with physicians, crafting treatments with precision and care, ensuring that every prescription was followed to the letter. Sometimes the apothecary's touch was direct, applying a healing plaster to a wound or administering an enema to ease the body's burdens. The life of an apothecary was not without its trials. Long hours, poor light, the pervasive smell of their concoctions, and the unpredictable nature of human desperation, all these tested their resolve. Yet within this crucible of challenge, there lay immense reward. They wielded knowledge and skill, touching lives, alleviating pain, and kindling hope in the hearts of those they served. What greater joy could there be than to be the light in someone's darkness? The medieval apothecary, these esteemed figures were not mere shopkeepers, but pillars of their communities revered by all walks of life. Imagine them amidst the aromatic chaos of their cluttered shops, their shelves lined with jars of herbs and potions, each a testament to their profound knowledge of healing. They were not just vendors. They were the heartbeats of medieval healthcare, working hand in hand with doctors and surgeons to weave a tapestry of health and hope across the land. The apothecary of yore was indeed the progenitor of today's pharmacist, laying down the stones upon which modern pharmacology would build. They pioneered the scientific exploration of medicinal plants, setting standards for the preparation of drugs that we still honor. Their commitment was not merely to concoct remedies, but to uphold a code of ethics centered on patient welfare and the judicious handling of potent substances. They understood, perhaps more than we do now, the sacredness of their craft, recognizing that true healing often requires a symphony of minds, not just a solo performance. So when next you step into your local pharmacy, pause for a moment. Reflect on the journey from those ancient, fragrant chambers to the sterile, gleaming dispensaries of our time. The apothecary has always been there, a silent guardian in the shadows, devoted to the alleviation of pain and the restoration of health. Theirs was a noble calling, steeped in time-honored wisdom, dedicated to the universal quest for wellness. Yet as we celebrate their legacy, let us not forget the shadows that linger. The medieval apothecary, for all their dedication and ingenuity, was bound by the limits of their era's understanding. Many of their treatments, like mercury or lead, now reveal themselves as harbingers of harm. Others, such as the mythical powders of mummies or the elusive horn of the unicorn, were figments of superstition devoid of any real curative power. And some remedies were so intricate, their efficacy left to the whims of chance. Moreover, the lack of understanding of how these substances interacted within the body often led to unintended consequences, a reminder that even the most well-intentioned efforts can falter without the light of knowledge. The medieval era, a time when the shadows of standardization and regulation were faint, leaving vast expanses for deception to flourish within the realm of medicine. Indeed, some apothecaries, driven by the lust for lucre, peddled concoctions of deceit and diluted remedies to the unsuspecting, their eyes gleaming with greed rather than compassion. Others, with whispers of secret elixirs and magical potions, promised to cure ailments from the mundane to the miraculous, from mere baldness to the dreaded plague. The veil of scientific ignorance hung heavy over these times, shrouding apothecaries in a cloak of ancient lore and traditional wisdom, rather than the light of empirical evidence or the boldness of experimentation. Their understanding of disease was often as murky as the potions they brewed, grounded in the fanciful theories of the four humors or the whimsical doctrine of signatures. Yet to cast all medieval apothecaries into the shadow of charlatans would be to overlook the brilliance that flickered amidst the darkness. Many were artisans of their craft, their hands not just tools for profit, but instruments of care. They were the custodians of ancient knowledge, the keepers of the flame that would eventually ignite the scientific revolution, transforming the landscape of healthcare for generations to come. In their cluttered shops, amidst the aromatic symphony of herbs and spices, they stood as sentinels of solace. In an age when life was often harsh, when pain and brevity were the common lot, these apothecaries offered a glimmer of hope, a touch of comfort. They were the light in the darkness, the embodiment of a profound truth that in the bleakest of times there are those whose hearts beat for healing, whose souls strive to alleviate suffering. So let us, in our quiet moments before sleep, cast our minds back to these unsung heroes, laboring in their aromatic sanctuaries, their efforts a testament to the enduring human spirit of care and the undying quest for knowledge. Imagine the medieval healers, their hands stained with the colors of the earth, their senses attuned to the symphony of nature's remedies. Envision them in their apothecaries, the mortar and pestle, in hand grinding herbs into a fine aromatic powder, stirring the simmering cauldron where syrups bubble with promise, or gently applying a cooling salve to a fevered forehead. Let us honor the lineage of these early caregivers, from the roving barber surgeons of the Middle Ages to the dedicated professionals in our hospitals and clinics today. The narrative of medieval healthcare is not merely a chronicle of rudimentary techniques and erroneous beliefs. No, it is a poignant saga of the human spirit's relentless quest to soothe suffering and nurture well-being. It stands as a beacon of hope, illustrating that even in the shadowiest hours, there are those who choose to kindle a flame rather than lament the darkness. As we nestle into the comforting embrace of sleep, let us cling to this luminous thread. Let us never forget that, regardless of how grim the outlook or how insurmountable the challenges, there exists a sanctuary of hope within the tender touch and empathetic hearts of those committed to healing. We must express our gratitude for the apothecaries, the physicians, the nurses, the midwives, and all those souls who have strived to mitigate pain and alleviate distress. In the grand scheme, the true essence of medieval healthcare is not found in the relics of potions, poultices, leeches, or lancets, but in the undying spirit of compassion and care. This spirit has carried humanity through the ravages of plagues and pandemics, through the horrors of wars and famines, and through all the trials and tribulations that history has thrown our way. And it is this same spirit that will continue to illuminate our path forward, inspiring us to reach beyond our current capabilities. As we stand on the threshold of tomorrow, grappling with the myriad challenges and boundless opportunities that await, let us take a moment to reflect. Close your eyes, dear listener, and allow the soothing whispers of yesteryears to envelop you. Envision a time when life moved at the serene pace of the seasons, where the world was bathed in the warm glow of candlelight. Picture, if you will, the quaint apothecary shop, its shelves lined with jars of aromatic herbs, its hearth cradling bubbling potions. Here in this sanctuary of healing, find solace in the thought that no matter how bleak the darkness, there are always those who labor tirelessly to guide us back to the light. As the night unfolds, may your slumber be sweetened by the delicate fragrance of medicinal herbs. May your rest be cradled by the tender hands of those who care. Let each dream rejuvenate your spirit, preparing you to greet the dawn with the same valor and empathy that characterized the apothecaries of old. Remember, in the darkest of hours, the enduring resilience of the human spirit shines as a beacon of hope. Imagine then the medieval streets of Europe, once vibrant with life, now silent, their inhabitants felled by the ruthless sweep of the Black Death. This cataclysm, which ravaged the continent, claimed between 30 to 60% of its people, sparing neither the affluent nor the destitute, the young nor the old. The once bustling thoroughfares fell quiet as mass graves swallowed the silent testimonies of a devastated populace. Villages stood abandoned, their stories whispered by the winds that swept through empty homes. The loss was catastrophic, shaking the very foundations of medieval society. The feudal system, which had long governed the land, crumbled under the weight of labor shortages. Now, with the scales tipped, the surviving peasants found themselves in unprecedented demand, able to negotiate terms unimaginable in times past. In the heart of the upheaval, the quest for better wages and rights from the noble landowners became a desperate cry echoing through the chaos. Trade routes, once the lifeblood of Europe, now lay severed, and with them, supply chains crumbled, leaving behind a landscape of scarcity and economic disarray. Amidst this maelstrom, the Catholic Church found itself grappling with the overwhelming cataclysm, its foundations shaken by the scale of human suffering. People seeking comfort and answers clung to their faith with a fervor born of desperation. Yet the enormity of death posed a profound question. Could a merciful God truly unleash such devastation upon Christendom? Many whispered that this plague was divine retribution for humanity's sins. In response, flagellants roamed the streets, their bodies bloodied from self-inflicted punishment in a grotesque display of penance. Others, driven by fear and confusion, sought scapegoats. Conspiracy theories flourished like weeds in a neglected garden, and baseless accusations spread like wildfire. Across Europe, Jewish communities faced the brunt of this paranoia, accused of poisoning wells to spread the plague. These vile rumors ignited horrific pogroms. In Strasbourg, the year 1349 bore witness to an unimaginable tragedy as hundreds of Jews were publicly incinerated in a single heart-rending day. Pope Clement VI, though he condemned this anti-Semitic violence, found the tide of hatred and suspicion too powerful to stem. The medical response to the Black Death was tragically as inadequate as it was earnest. Medieval physicians, armed with the scant knowledge and resources of their time, endeavored to combat the pestilence. Guided by the miasma theory, they attributed the disease to corrupted air, a result of putrid odors. Their solution: to purify the air with fire. Bonfires of rosemary, juniper, and pine blazed in homes and public squares, an aromatic plea against the invisible enemy. People clutched posies of flowers or donned sachets of sweet spices, hoping to ward off the specter of death. Yet these measures were but shadows in the face of Yersinia pestis, the relentless bacterium spread by rat fleas. In their quest to restore balance to the humors disturbed by the plague, physicians also resorted to bloodletting-induced vomiting and diarrhea. A myriad of tonics, potions, and poultices were concocted, each a desperate attempt to reclaim health from the jaws of the Black Death. From an assortment of herbs, spices, and the arcane ingredients like Armenian clay and powdered unicorn horn, emerged a desperate bid to cure the afflicted. Alas, these treatments often compounded the misery of those already teetering on the brink of despair. Some of these so-called healers were municipal physicians appointed by the city authorities to care for the sick and enforce isolation. In some regions, they adorned themselves with the now iconic beak-like masks, leather hats, waxed garments, and gloves. The beak of the mask, filled with straw and fragrant herbs, was thought to cleanse the air they breathed. They wielded wooden canes to keep a safe distance while examining the sick. Though these outfits were meant for protection, we now understand they were woefully inadequate against contagion. For those suffering, the sight of these spectral, faceless apparitions must have been a terrifying harbinger of doom. A plague doctor, in his own harrowing account, describes the daily ordeal of tending to the afflicted. In a medieval town, I rise with the dawn, though the sun offers little warmth to the chill of my task. There are always more patients than hours in the day. In the dim light of early morning that I cloak myself in waxed leather, don my beak, mask, gloves, boots, and a long gown, stepping into streets heavy with the stench of decay. Surely this foul miasma is the very essence of the pestilence. I stuff the beak of my mask with dried rosemary mint and straw, hoping to ward off the corrupting vapors. Upon entering a home, the silence is palpable, broken only by the muffled sounds of sobbing and retching from behind closed doors. Families huddled together in their suffering with no one well enough to offer comfort. I've hardened myself against the desperate, glassy-eyed stares, the silent pleas for hope I can't honestly give. I administer herbal fumigations, insist on purifying fires, but see little promise. So many are already knocking at death's door, their bodies ravaged by fever marked by the swollen, seeping sores of the plague. For these afflicted souls, I administer laudanum, a balm to ease their final journey. On the cobbled streets, I command the gathering of the fallen and decree the quarantine of homes touched by the plague, marking their doors with a stark red cross. As night falls, I count the dead, the numbers swelling beyond comprehension. Despair, my constant shadow, whispers in my ear, how many more will succumb before this nightmare ends? I shudder to consider my own vulnerability, having seen the plague claim too many robust and youthful healers. With fervent prayers, I seek divine mercy and shield. The life of a plague doctor was a tapestry of unimaginable horrors, dangers, and a sense of futility. While some viewed us as omens of death, many recognized our valiant efforts to curb the contagion and soothe the afflicted despite the primitive tools at our disposal. The Black Death was not just a physical scourge, it left deep psychological and emotional wounds. The ever-looming threat of sudden demise and the heartbreaking loss of loved ones bred a pervasive gloom, despair, and a macabre fascination with mortality. Some, overwhelmed by despair, surrendered to reckless abandon, living by the grim creed, eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die. This somber worldview seeped into the art and literature of the time, especially following the initial wave of the plague. A new genre of writing emerged steeped in the inevitability of death and the transient nature of all earthly pleasures. The dance macabre, or dance of death, became a chilling visual narrative where skeletal figures in a ghastly parade led individuals from every stratum of society to their graves. Yet within this darkness, flickers of hope and resilience persisted. Not all were engulfed by paralyzing fear or resigned to apocalyptic despair. Many found comfort in their faith, and in the aftermath, there were those who looked to the future with a quiet, determined optimism. A wave of benevolence swept through the church as people touched by the crisis opened their hearts and purses. Communities, in a display of unity and compassion, rallied together, offering mutual aid and comfort in these darkest of times. Scholars ponder if the Black Death might have been the catalyst that propelled society from the medieval into the early modern era, its devastation inadvertently planting seeds of profound social transformation. As the plague ravaged through the old feudal structures, it disrupted the established order, leading to unexpected shifts. With labor in short supply, wages soared, empowering some peasants to purchase their freedom, a glimmer of hope amidst despair. From the ashes of devastated towns and cities, a nascent middle class began to take root, marking the dawn of new social strata. In response to the relentless spread of the disease, authorities took unprecedented steps towards public health. They enforced quarantines, banned public gatherings, and introduced sanitation laws. Municipal boards of health emerged, signaling the early tentative steps towards centralized efforts to protect the community's well-being. But beyond the immediate responses, the Black Death left an indelible mark on the human psyche. For those who outlived the horror, the plague was a chilling reminder of life's fragility and its transient beauty. This sentiment was poignantly captured by an anonymous 14th century poet whose haunting words echo through time. The fear of death disquiets me, our mortality can disturb me. The Black Death thus stands as a monumental chapter in the annals of medieval history, a demographic disaster, a cultural turning point. It was a brutal lesson in the vulnerability of human existence, in the fragility of societal constructs. The plague exposed the inadequacies of medieval medicine and challenged the very foundations of religious faith. Yet amidst this darkest hour, the resilience of the human spirit shone through, undimmed by the shadow of adversity. As we reflect on this era of healthcare in medieval times, we are reminded of how far we have come, yet how much of our past still resonates with our present. From the depths of time to the present moment, our journey through history reveals a tapestry woven with both the bizarre and the familiar. The Middle Ages, with its arcane humoral theories, bloodletting, and superstitious remedies, stands as a testament to an era both alien and eerily recognizable. Imagine the bewilderment of our medieval ancestors should they witness the fantastical medical marvels of today. Yet beneath the surface of medieval medicine's harshness and oddity, there lies a heart of gold, a spirit of care and dedication that resonates through the ages. In the diligent hands of healers like Hildegard of Bingen In the shadowy figures of plague doctors, we find a reflection of today's healthcare warriors. Their commitment to alleviate pain with the scant resources at their disposal speaks volumes of the universal human quest to heal. Has not the essence of compassion transcended time, binding us in a shared narrative of resilience and empathy? Our understanding of medicine has indeed leaped forward, leaving behind the shadows of the four humors for the light of modern science. Yet the core human experiences, suffering, the struggle for recovery, the yearning for wellness, these remain as constant as the stars above. By delving into the annals of past healthcare practices, we uncover not just the differences, but the profound connections that link us to those who came before. As we lay our heads down to rest, let us not forget the marvels of modern medicine we so often overlook. Let us feel a profound connection with every soul who has ever battled against the specters of disease and despair. The medieval healthcare saga, though cloaked in darkness, is pierced by the radiant light of human compassion and an unyielding pursuit of healing. And thus, in an era where knowledge was scarce and treatments often misguided, figures like Hildegard of Bingen emerged as beacons of hope. Born into nobility in 1098, Hildegard was not just a healer, but a mystic and scholar whose contributions to healthcare still echo through time. Imagine the tender years of a girl named Hildegard, one of 10 siblings, her life, from the very beginning, intertwined with the divine. As a young child, she was entrusted to the church, her heart brimming with secret visions that whispered to her soul. At the tender age of 8, she was sent to reside with Jutta, an anchorite renowned for her spiritual depth, in a monastery near Bingen. Here, in the quietude of sacred walls, Hildegard absorbed a basic education, her mind and spirit nurtured by knowledge of herbal medicine and the arts of healing. As she matured, these visions not only persisted, but intensified, enveloping her in a radiant light that imparted profound insights and understanding. Oh, how these luminous encounters must have felt. By the age of 43, a vision came to her with divine clarity, urging her to document the wisdom she had gathered. With the gentle encouragement of Volmar, her friend and scribe Hildegard began her monumental task of transcribing her visions and medical insights into a series of books. Her magnum opus, Causae et Curae, or Causes and Cures, stands as a testament to her genius, a comprehensive guide to medieval medicine where she eloquently detailed the origins and remedies for countless ailments. Her philosophy was rooted in the balance of the four humors, advocating for moderation and equilibrium in health. She prescribed not just herbal concoctions, but also dietary adjustments and, where necessary, bloodletting to restore harmony within the body. Hildegard's approach was nothing short of holistic, embracing the physical, emotional, and spiritual dimensions of well-being. She held a profound belief in the natural world, seeing it as a vast repository of healing wisdom, with humans intrinsically linked to the earth's cycles and elements. Beyond Causae et Curae, she penned Physica, an exhaustive catalog of the medicinal virtues of over 200 herbs and spices, each entry a meticulous guide to their preparation and application for various health conditions. In an era where women were often sidelined from formal medical education and practice, Hildegard's work shone as beacons of knowledge. Her voice as a woman in medicine, both rare and revered. How extraordinary, how inspiring to see her rise above the constraints of her time. Her writings a legacy that continues to enlighten and heal. In an era shrouded by the mist of medieval times, Hildegard of Bingen emerged as a beacon of enlightenment, her wisdom casting light far beyond the confines of her cloister. Her writings, imbued with a profound understanding of both the human spirit and body, traversed the breadth of Europe, their pages whispering her insights in the hushed tones of Latin, German, and other tongues. Ah, the thrill of discovery as her books ignited minds, shaping the very foundation of medical practice for generations. But Hildegard was not merely a healer. She was a symphony of talents. Her compositions, those divine hymns and enchanting musical plays, soared through the ages, touching the souls of popes, emperors, and the common folk alike. Imagine the reverence, the awe, as this woman of the 12th century corresponded with the luminaries of her time, her letters a bridge between the earthly and the divine. In her twilight years, Hildegard's spirit did not wane, it blazed brighter. She founded not one but two monasteries, sanctuaries of learning and faith. And then daringly, she embarked on preaching tours, four in total, a feat that would be remarkable even today. Can you envision the courage it took for a woman of her time to stand before crowds, her voice echoing with wisdom and conviction? Hildegard's legacy, a tapestry rich with threads of medicine, music, and theology, continues to inspire. Her approach to health, holistic and preventative, whispered the future of integrative medicine. Though some of her methods were tethered to the science of her day, her meticulous observations and experimental spirit laid the groundwork for what we now call evidence-based medicine. She was a pioneer, a trailblazer for women in medicine, challenging the patriarchal norms with each stroke of her pen. Today recognized as a saint, Hildegard stands as a testament to the power of intellect, passion, and faith. Her texts are still poured over her music, still sung. Oh, what a legacy she left us in the grand narrative of medieval European healthcare. Hildegard of Bingen is not just a thread, but a vibrant tapestry weaving together the spiritual with the scientific, the artistic with the analytical, her contributions resonating through time. In the midst of a world fraught with pain and uncertainty, let us take a moment to honor those who dared to suffer and to expand the horizons of medical knowledge. As we delve deeper into the rich tapestry of medieval medicine, we will meet more extraordinary individuals whose narratives illuminate the timeless pursuit of health, healing, and comprehension. Their battles, victories, and groundbreaking contributions stand as monuments to the unyielding human spirit, even amidst the gloomiest epochs. But let us linger a while longer on the life of Hildegard of Bingen, a beacon of what can be achieved when one follows their destiny with fervor, intellect, and an open heart. Her tale is in it, a clarion call to us all, urging us to tread our own paths with bravery and resolve. Indeed, it's the smallest acts of kindness and curiosity that send waves through the corridors of time, etching an everlasting imprint on the canvas of history. So as we surrender to the embrace of slumber, let us carry with us the wisdom and elegance of Hildegard and all those who have devoted their existence to the noble cause of healing. Are these not the stories of the valiant and the luminous that guide us through the shadows, illuminating the path to a more radiant, healthier future for all? Medieval healthcare was an intricate weave of ancient lore, traditional cures, spiritual faith, and the budding seeds of scientific thought. While some practices might now appear rudimentary or harsh to our contemporary eyes, they were the valiant attempts of our ancestors to shield themselves from the relentless onslaught of illness, injury, and untimely demise. One of the most enduring contributions of medieval medicine was the inception of hospitals and structured medical education. The first of these sanctuaries of healing appeared in the 6th century, often linked to the serene cloisters of monasteries or the sacred grounds of churches. In those nascent times, these institutions, more akin to hospices than hospitals, were sanctuaries for the destitute and the ill, offering mere sustenance and shelter. Yet as the wheels of time turned, they blossomed into sophisticated medical havens. Imagine by the 12th century, the grand cities of Paris, London, and Florence had birthed hospitals capable of nursing hundreds back to health. The legendary Hôtel Dieu in Paris, established in the year 651 AD, had by the 15th century transformed into a sanctuary accommodating over 1,000 souls in their quest for healing. These sanctuaries of solace were not merely staffed by the hands of divine servants, monks, and nuns, but also by skilled physicians, daring surgeons, and wise apothecaries. Ah, how the pursuit of knowledge flourished in the Middle Ages. The cradle of medical education was laid in Salerno, Italy, in the 9th century, where students absorbed the ancient wisdom of Hippocrates, Galen, and Avicenna, and honed their craft in preparing medicines and mending bones. By the 13th century, the seeds of medical faculties had taken root in the fertile minds at Bologna, Montpellier, and Paris. Yet the journey to becoming a licensed physician was arduous and expensive, a path paved with years of study in Latin. Alas, there were never enough of these learned doctors to satiate the hunger of medieval society for health. Instead, the daily care of the populace was in the hands of a diverse array of practitioners. Surgeons, often schooled through the ancient rite of apprenticeship, wielded their skills with both precision and vigor, from the delicate art of tooth extraction to the grim necessity of amputation to the miraculous clearing of cataracts. Despite their prowess, surgery was deemed a craft of lesser esteem, and surgeons were often excluded from the elite circles of physicians' guilds. Apothecaries, too, played a crucial role, crafting remedies tailored to individual ailments, often in close collaboration with physicians. From the 12th century onwards, these alchemists of health began to dot the landscape of Europe, and by the 15th century, their numbers had swelled their shops, becoming beacons of hope and healing across the continent. Ah, the apothecaries of old, those unsung heroes of healing. Imagine the vast knowledge they needed, the dexterity with which they handled everything, from the humble sage and rosemary to the exotic myrrh and frankincense. These were not mere shopkeepers. They were alchemists of health, masters of distillation, infusion, and the mysterious dance of fermentation. Picture them tending to their herb gardens, a sanctuary of healing, or eagerly bartering with merchants for those rare treasures from far-off lands. Oh, how black pepper from India was cherished, not just for its flavor, but for its miraculous cures, from easing indigestion to quelling the tremors of epilepsy. And then there was Jacoba Fellitier, a beacon of skill and resilience in the bustling heart of 14th century Paris. Renowned for her diagnostic prowess, she garnered a loyal following among the affluent. Yet as a woman, she was barred from the ivory towers of university education and the male-dominated guilds. Undeterred, Jacoba honed her craft through the time-honored, martyred tradition of apprenticeship and the invaluable lessons of experience. But alas, her journey was not without its trials. In 1322, she stood before the court accused by envious male physicians of practicing without a license. A peril to public health, they claimed her successes mere strokes of fortune. Jacoba, with the fire of justice in her eyes, defended her practice with eloquence. She argued, "Is not the proof in the pudding? My patients, once failed by these very accusers, found relief under my care." Her words, a testament to the value of practical wisdom over academic credentials, swayed the court. Though cleared of charges, she was forbidden from continuing her practice or donning the physician's robe. Jacoba's tale, a poignant reminder of the barriers that once stood in the path of those driven by a passion for healing, challenges us to reflect. How far have we truly come in recognizing all forms of expertise? As we delve deeper into the tapestry of medieval times, the contributions of women to healthcare emerge as threads of resilience and ingenuity. Imagine the village healer, a woman, her hands stained with the juice of herbs, her mind, a repository of ancient wisdom, passed down through whispers of mothers and grandmothers. These women, the unsung heroines of their era, were the backbone of their communities. Yet their journey was fraught with trials. How often were they met with skepticism or outright hostility from their male counterparts? Yet they persisted, their spirits unbroken, serving as midwives, bringing new life into the world, and soothing the sick with remedies that danced on the edge of folklore and science. In the shadows of these unsung heroes, the landscape of medicine began to shift as the Renaissance dawned. The air was charged with new ideas. The very notion of disease was being redefined. Can you envision the excitement, the fervor, as thinkers like Jacob Felliti and others challenged the status quo, asserting their right to heal in a world that had long been dominated by men? The very foundations we stand on today, in the realm of healthcare, hospitals, pharmacies, medical schools, professional licensure, trace their lineage back to these tumultuous times. By peering into the past, we not only honor the struggles and triumphs of those who paved the way, but also enrich our understanding of our ongoing battle against illness. And speaking of battles, no chronicle of medieval health would be complete without the somber chapter of the Black Death. This plague, sweeping like a dark tide across continents from Asia to Africa, decimated Europe in the 14th century. Imagine the terror, the despair as it claimed lives, leaving behind a landscape of loss and transformation. Its origins, shrouded in mystery, perhaps began in the vast steppes of Central Asia, carried westward by the unwitting vectors of fleas and rats. This catastrophe reshaped societies, economies, and cultures in ways that echo through the corridors of time. From the bustling trade routes that merchant ships frequented, the plague found its way into the heart of Europe. In the year 1347, the city of Kaffa, nestled on the Crimean Peninsula, became the epicenter of a horror that would soon engulf the continent. Imagine the scene: a city besieged by the Mongol army, already ravaged by the plague, hurling the bodies of their infected over the city walls in an act of early biological warfare. Can you fathom the terror that gripped the hearts of Kaffa's inhabitants as death rained upon them? From this grim beginning, the Black Death spread like wildfire, reaching the shores of England, the fields of France, the forests of Germany, and the fjords of Scandinavia by 1350. The symptoms were nothing short of nightmarish fever that scorched the skin, chills that chilled the soul, and an overwhelming sense of weakness. But most terrifying of all were the buboes, those swollen, agonizing lumps in the groin, armpit, or neck, marking the victims with the seal of their impending doom. As the disease progressed, the skin would often blacken and decay, a macabre transformation that named this scourge the Black Death. In those dark times, the true culprit, the Yersinia pestis bacterium borne by fleas, remained a mystery. Medieval minds searching for answers attributed the plague to everything from divine retribution to celestial misalignments or the noxious miasmas they believed poisoned the air. Their treatments, born of desperation, were as misguided as their theories. Physicians suggested bloodletting or induced vomiting, attempting to purge the body of what they saw as excess humors. Others turned to exotic cures, from powdered emeralds to Armenian clay, or even the bizarre application of dried toad. Meanwhile, many sought solace in prayer, embarked on pilgrimages, or resorted to self-flagellation in a futile bid to ward off the plague. The image of the plague doctor with his long black robe, leather gloves, and the bird-like beak mask stuffed with aromatic herbs to fend off the supposed miasmas has become iconic. Yet this costume was not a product of the Middle Ages, but emerged during a later outbreak in the 17th century. In the medieval period, as the epidemic reached its zenith, most doctors fled the cities, leaving the sick to suffer in solitude. How tragic, how utterly human, that in the face of such overwhelming despair, even those sworn to heal chose flight over fight. Amidst the chaos and despair, a peculiar breed of heroes emerged. Plague doctors cloaked in dark robes and beaked masks, striving valiantly against the tide of death. Yet despite their efforts, these gallant figures could do little more than offer comfort amidst the storm of suffering. Only the stark measures of quarantine and isolation provided any semblance of control, their somber embrace slowing the relentless spread of the plague. The social fabric itself seemed to unravel under the weight of this calamity. The very pillars of society, the church, the social hierarchy, trembled as faith waned and desperation bred fanaticism and prejudice. Oh, the irony! The Black Death, while a harbinger of doom, inadvertently sowed seeds of change. With a workforce decimated, the survivors found themselves in a world where their labor was suddenly precious, their wages rising like a phoenix from the ashes of feudalism, heralding the dawn of modern capitalism. In the wake of this devastation, some cities like the visionary Italian city of Ragusa, now known as Dubrovnik, began to weave a new tapestry of public health. They introduced quarantine sanitation and the oversight of sustenance, setting precedents that would echo through the ages. However, these progressive measures met with resistance. Merchants and politicians, in their pursuit of prosperity, often viewed such precautions as mere shackles on commerce. Centuries would pass before the mysteries of contagion were unraveled, giving birth to epidemiology and the germ theory. Yet the Black Death's legacy endures, a grim specter that influenced everything from the Renaissance's bloom to the very foundations of our hospitals. Today, as we confront new plagues from SARS to Ebola to the relentless grip of COVID-19, we must heed the lessons of those medieval souls. Their experience is a poignant reminder that even in our era of medical marvels, the specter of infectious diseases still haunts us. What can we learn from their trials? How can we better prepare for the next unseen foe? Even today, we remain exposed to the very elements of nature and human conduct that dictated the path of the Black Death. Perhaps the most poignant lesson from medieval healthcare is the profound significance of compassion, resilience, and the indomitable human spirit when confronted with suffering and adversity. The men and women who dedicated themselves to saving lives and alleviating pain during those dark times, often at immense personal peril, represent the pinnacle of what it means to be a healer. Consider the nuns tirelessly tending to the sick and dying within the confines of plague-ridden hospitals, or the apothecaries daring to concoct new untested remedies. Imagine the surgeons venturing onto battlefields to minister to the wounded. These healers confronted insurmountable obstacles with a blend of courage, creativity, and grace. Their tales remind us that at the heart of healthcare lies not merely science and technology, but deep wells of empathy, compassion, and the unyielding ties of human connection. As we forge ahead facing new and intimidating healthcare challenges, we can find solace and inspiration in the legacy of our medieval forebears. How can we not be moved by their stories? Let us conclude this exploration of medieval healthcare with a deep sense of awe and gratitude for those who walked before us. Their world was vastly different, yet their struggles, their victories, and their relentless dedication to the healing arts echo through time. As slumber approaches, perhaps you'll envision yourself stepping into a medieval apothecary where shelves are laden with jars of exotic spices and the air is heavy with the fragrance of herbs. Or might you see yourself as a plague doctor, navigating the labyrinthine shadowed streets of a beleaguered city? Whatever visions your dreams conjure, let the stories of these medieval healers inspire you. Their legacy is a testament to the enduring power of human spirit and care. As the Black Death ravaged Europe in the mid-14th century, leaving behind a trail of devastation and despair, medieval society was thrust into a terrifying reality. A deadly plague, seemingly impervious to all known remedies, swept through the lands, challenging the very fabric of human resilience. Yet amidst this chaos, the human spirit shone with an unyielding hope in the relentless pursuit of light in the darkest of times. In the heart of this storm, people clung to their faith, their communities, and their healers, seeking solace and a glimmer of salvation. Among these was a young plague doctor named Giovanni, stationed in the vibrant yet beleaguered city of Florence. A university-trained physician, Giovanni was steeped in the medical doctrines of his era, which attributed the plague to a malevolent miasma corrupting the air and the humors within the body. With a heavy heart and a resolve as firm as the stone walls of Florence, he ventured out each day to the homes of the afflicted, offering what little relief and comfort he could muster. Giovanni's daily attire spoke volumes of the grim era he navigated. Clad in a long waxed leather coat to shield himself from the disease-laden fluids and miasmas, and topped with a wide-brimmed black hat that marked his solemn profession, he was a figure both of dread and of hope. But it was his beaked mask filled with sweet-smelling herbs and straw to purify the air he inhaled that truly defined his presence. To those on the brink of death, he might have seemed like a spectral messenger from the underworld, an almost otherworldly figure come to witness their final moments. Yet beneath that foreboding mask, Giovanni's eyes held a story of dedication and despair, a testament to the human spirit's capacity to confront even the most harrowing of challenges with an unwavering belief in a better tomorrow. As he entered each home, his presence was a beacon of both fear and faith, a reminder that even in the shadow of death, life's resilience could still flicker with the promise of dawn. In each dimly lit, festered home, Giovanni was greeted by scenes of unbearable horror and sorrow. Families once vibrant now lay vanquished by the ruthless grip of the bubonic plague. Their bodies bore the cruel marks, swollen buboes on lymph nodes, skin turned dark as night fever-induced delirium consuming their senses. Some twisted in pain on pallets damp with sweat, while others drained of strength could only cower in shadowy corners. The air was heavy, laden with the stench of decay and the anguished cries of those mourning their lost. With a heart laden with despair, Giovanni began his grim work, fully aware that his efforts might do little to halt the relentless march of death. He lanced and cauterized the swollen buboes, searing the flesh in a frantic bid to expel the noxious humors. He concocted potions and tonics from herbs like angelica gentian and thistle, hoping these would fortify the heart and neutralize the poison coursing through their veins. He whispered prayers and offered last rites, clutching the hands of the dying as they slipped into the beyond. Yet the plague's voracious appetite for life continued unabated. Giovanni witnessed entire neighborhoods crumble their inhabitants, carted away to mass graves beyond the city's protective walls. He saw merchants, once symbols of prosperity, now reduced to pleading for alms in the streets, their wealth and status powerless against this indiscriminate killer. The burden of his own vulnerability weighed upon him. He knew well that he too could be claimed by the pestilence at any moment. As the bleak months dragged on, Giovanni found himself questioning the very bedrock of his medical training. He had been taught that the plague was a divine retribution for sin, that only through prayer and repentance could one find salvation. Yet he watched in disbelief as even the most devout priests and nuns fell prey to the disease. Where was the justice in this? Could faith alone truly shield one from such a merciless foe? Oh, the depths of despair that Giovanni plumbed as he pondered the enigma of the Black Death. Could there be, he mused, some unseen force, a silent assassin that leaped from one soul to another, rather than a mere corruption of the very air they breathed? These gnawing doubts would linger in the minds of Giovanni and his fellow physicians long after the last echoes of the plague had faded into history. The sheer magnitude and horror of this pestilence had not just shaken, but utterly demolished the bedrock of medieval society, casting doubt on centuries-old beliefs about disease and the physician's role. In the wake of such devastation, a new breed of medical minds would rise, daring to challenge the hallowed doctrines of Hippocrates and Galen. They sought fresh answers, new remedies for the ailments that besiege humanity. Yet for Giovanni, as he trudged home each night, his heart heavy with prayers for his family's safety, such grand intellectual pursuits seemed a world away. His mind was a gallery of the dying haunted by their pallid faces, the stench of the sick rooms clinging to his clothes, and the crushing weight of his own impotence against such boundless agony. Like so many others, he could only hold fast to a sliver of hope, whispering to himself, "This too shall pass," yearning for some sliver of mercy to pierce the enveloping gloom. When we reflect upon the Black Death from our modern perch, it might seem a mere historical oddity, a dark fascination from times less enlightened. But for Giovanni, the plague doctor, it was a raw, harrowing reality, a relentless test of human resilience and empathy. In their struggles and sacrifices, we see a mirror of our own battles with pandemics, a poignant reminder of our shared humanity. The Black Death may have faded into the annals of history, yet its echoes resonate through the corridors of modern medicine and public health practices, each a testament to human ingenuity and perseverance. Can you fathom a time when the mere concept of quarantine, the act of isolating the sick to shield the well, was birthed from the desperate necessity of medieval societies grappling with the plague? This era marked the awakening to the notion of contagion, where illness was no longer a mere misfortune, but a transferable entity, urging physicians and scholars alike to weave the first threads of organized response to disease outbreaks. Imagine the darkness of those times, the pervasive fear, yet from this gloom emerged not only despair, but also a profound resilience. The story of the Black Death transcends mere accounts of mortality. It is a saga of human spirit's indomitable will to adapt, to understand, and to overcome. It's a narrative that compels us to ask what drives individuals to comfort the afflicted, to seek answers amidst chaos, and to illuminate paths through the darkest nights. This legacy, this enduring human quest for knowledge and survival, reminds us that even in our darkest moments, there are those who step forward, their courage a beacon. Humanity, with its unyielding spirit, has weathered countless storms of plagues and pandemics, and will continue to do so as long as we breathe. reflecting on the legacy of medieval healthcare and the Black Death. We must ponder what lessons can we harvest for our era. In a world where global travel speeds up pandemics, where antibiotics lose their power and new diseases emerge, the specter of widespread illness remains as daunting as ever. Though we stand on the shoulders of giants with advanced medical knowledge and technology, we are reminded by recent events like the COVID-19 pandemic that our vulnerability persists. As we continue to navigate through the annals of history, let us pause and reflect on the profound lessons drawn from the Black Death, a calamity that shook the very foundations of medieval society. Oh, how it serves as a poignant reminder that in the face of a global health crisis, our strength lies not in isolation, but in unity. From the lowliest serf to the highest nobility, the plague spared none, weaving a tapestry of shared fate that demands our collective response today. We must stand together shoulder to shoulder, extending a hand of support and care as we strive to prevent and combat disease. Let us honor the valor of those who walk the perilous path of healthcare, those modern-day heroes who, like Giovanni of old, sacrificed their well-being for the sake of others. Their dedication is a beacon illuminating the path of service and sacrifice. As the night falls and we surrender to sleep, let these lessons envelop us in their warmth. Let the narrative of medieval healthcare and the Black Death echo in our dreams, not just as a tale of survival, but as a clarion call for compassion and knowledge over the shadows of fear and ignorance. How can we not wake up inspired to forge a world where every individual's health is paramount? Let us rise each morning fueled by a renewed pledge to nurture that world, one compassionate act at a time. Even amidst the darkest times of the Black Death, glimmers of hope and adaptation flickered. The seeds of sanitation, quarantine, and other preventive measures were sown, albeit slowly, in the fertile soil of human necessity. Yet the journey towards enlightenment was fraught with detours as old beliefs and superstitions lingered, challenging the progress of medical knowledge. The grip of ancient misconceptions on the understanding of disease remained unyielding, even as the Middle Ages slipped into history. While the scientific revolution of the 16th and 17th centuries ushered in an era of empirical inquiry, both physicians and the common folk continued to embrace remnants of the archaic four humors theory. How easy it is with our modern medical wisdom to glance back at medieval practices like bloodletting or astrological healing and scoff at their apparent folly. Yet let us pause and ponder. Healers of those times were merely making the best of the scant knowledge and rudimentary tools at their disposal. In a world where the origins of sickness were still cloaked in enigma, who could fault them for reaching for any semblance of a cure, no matter how implausible it might seem to us now? And indeed, medieval medicine, often stumbling upon its truths by chance rather than by intent, did get some things right. Consider the use of honey, now scientifically recognized for its antibacterial properties in wound care. Or the myriad herbs and plants employed in medieval remedies, many of which we now know contain potent medicinal compounds. But let us not overlook the profound legacy of medieval healthcare, the establishment of hospitals. Though primitive and often unsanitary by today's standards, these institutions were pivotal. They provided a sanctuary, a dedicated space where the sick and injured could receive care. Imagine the relief the sanctuary offered to those in pain. Over the centuries, these early hospitals would transform, evolving into the sophisticated medical centers we rely on today. This transformation was fueled by the relentless efforts of visionaries pushing the boundaries of what was known in their own times. From trailblazers like Trodo of In the shadows of medieval times, there were luminaries like Hildegard of Bingen, whose brilliance cut through the darkness like stars piercing a moonless night. These scholars, driven by an unquenchable thirst for knowledge, toiled tirelessly to elevate the art of healing despite the formidable barriers they faced. Their stories, woven into the fabric of history, serve as poignant reminders that even in our bleakest moments, the flame of progress can still burn brightly. When we reflect on the medical landscape of the Middle Ages, it's tempting to linger on their missteps. Yet let us not overlook the triumphs. Consider the seeds of wisdom they sowed, which have now blossomed into the sophisticated healthcare systems of today. The next time you walk into a hospital or reach for your medication, pause for a moment. Imagine the long, winding path that medicine has journeyed, a path paved with the dedication of countless individuals who believed in a brighter, healthier future. And remember, even amidst the plagues and the pervasive superstitions of the Middle Ages, there were souls who devoted their entire lives to alleviating pain and preserving life. As we surrender to the embrace of sleep, let our hearts swell with gratitude for these pioneers and for the modern-day healers who walk in their footsteps. For truly, the saga of medicine is a testament to human resilience, a narrative of compassion and the relentless pursuit of knowledge against the vast unknown. Though the future remains a tapestry of uncertainties, we find solace in knowing we are not alone. We stand upon the shoulders of giants, guided by the eternal beacon of hope and the indomitable spirit of humanity. As we close our eyes, let us envision a world where the art of healing has reached its zenith, where every soul lives in health and harmony. Sleep well, dear reader, and let your mind wander through the centuries as you rest, secure in the knowledge that the rich tapestry of healthcare history will be waiting to embrace you when dawn breaks. How marvelous it is to ponder the journey from the tentative first steps of medieval apothecaries to the dazzling heights of today's medical marvels. Every thread in this grand weave of progress matters, and every dreamer, every healer has played a part. Let your dreams tonight be filled with the wisdom of the ages, and may you awaken refreshed and inspired, ready to tackle the new day's challenges. As we delve into part 4 of our journey, we turn our gaze to the humble yet potent world of herbs, remedies, and cures. In medieval times, while physicians and hospitals were reserved for the gravest of illnesses, the common folk turned to their home remedies in the ancient art of herbal medicine for daily ailments. Oh, how the knowledge of healing plants has been whispered down through the ages, a testament to human ingenuity and resilience. Imagine the medieval healers, their hands stained with the earth as they pluck sage for digestion and soothing sore throats, chamomile to calm restless minds, and coax sleep garlic to fortify hearts and repel disease, and comfrey with its miraculous ability to mend flesh and bone. The monasteries, like serene sanctuaries, were home to these green apothecaries. In the tranquil abbey of Niederaltaich in Bavaria, nestled along the Danube since the 8th century, Benedictine monks cultivated a vast garden of healing herbs. Here, elderberry was harvested to combat colds, and flue peppermint to ease headaches and quell nausea, and yarrow to staunch bleeding and quell inflammation. What a treasure trove of nature's pharmacy! They tended a legacy of healing that whispers to us even now. Imagine stepping into the hushed sanctum of the abbey's apothecary, where the very air is perfumed with the essence of nature's pharmacy. Bunches of rosemary, thyme, and lavender dangle from the rafters, their scents intertwining in a dance of healing. Earthenware jars, meticulously labeled, stand sentinel on the shelves, bearing names like Angelica root wormwood and St. John's wort, each a testament to the ancient knowledge preserved within these walls. At the heart of this aromatic haven, Brother Albertus, a master apothecary, moves with a grace born of long practice. His deft hands, though touched by age, are steady as he grinds fennel seeds with a mortar and pestle. He's brewing a soothing tea for a local peasant whose belly aches with the pangs of indigestion. With measured precision, he adds licorice root and peppermint to the fennel, crafting a remedy as much with his heart as with his hands. Satisfied, he pours the blend into a small linen sack, securing it with twine, and passes it to his patient with gentle, whispered guidance. For another whose heart struggles weakly, Brother Albertus concocts a tonic. He steeps hawthorn berries and motherwort in boiling water, watching as the liquid turns a deep, life-giving red. This he strains into a bottle, a beacon of hope for weary hearts. And for those tormented by fiery skin, he crafts a salve. Beeswax once melted is cooled and mixed with olive oil, into which he stirs crushed marigold petals and chickweed, creating a balm to soothe and heal. Even the gout, that cruel affliction of the noble, finds its match here. A syrup of stewed black cherries sweetened with honey becomes a remedy, its sweetness belying the potent relief it brings. The art of Brother Albertus is not merely science, but a symphony of folk wisdom, classical Greek and Arabic medical lore harmonizing in the service of healing. As Walafrid Strabo, the 9th century Benedictine monk, extolled in his poem, Hortulus, the garden's glory, with its well-tilled earth has the power to heal and renew our mirth. Our weary limbs, our aching heads find solace in these gardens, our minds calmed by their gentle embrace. Yet despite the profound healing offered by these herbs, some, particularly the affluent, sought remedies even more exotic, reaching for spices like saffron, cinnamon, and ginger in their quest for wellness. Ah, the medieval apothecary's arsenal, a treasure trove of the bizarre and the beautiful, where the line between science and sorcery often blurred into a fascinating tapestry of healing lore. Here, amidst the shelves lined with jars of aromatic herbs and mysterious powders, one could find ingredients that were not just rare but believed to hold the very essence of life itself. Imagine, if you will, the delicate hands of Abbess Hildegard of Bingen, a 12th century healer, as she meticulously combined aloe, myrrh, nutmeg, and dare we say it, unicorn horn in her remedies. Yes, unicorn horn. The mythical creature with its supposed healing powers was a beacon of hope in an era where medicine and magic danced hand in hand. But let's pause for a moment and ponder. What was this so-called unicorn horn in the bustling medieval markets? Merchants traded what they claimed to be the horn of this legendary beast, often nothing more than the tusk of a narwhal or the horn of a rhinoceros. Yet the belief in its curative properties was as strong as the conviction that the earth was flat. Physician Ambroise Paré, in his 1582 treatise on unicorns, painted a vivid picture. The unicorn is an animal having the head of a horse, the feet of an elephant, the tail of a boar, and a single black horn, 2 cubits in length in the middle of its forehead. Great virtues are attributed to it, especially against poisons. Beyond the mythical, the apothecaries of the Middle Ages stocked an array of concoctions, each with its own tale to tell. The 15th century English doctor Thomas Fairford, for instance, recommended a peculiar mixture of powdered mummy and honey to treat abscesses, a remedy that might make one question the sanity of its creator. Crushed emeralds for epilepsy, topaz for insomnia, and hematite for nosebleeds. The list of cures was as diverse as the ailments they aimed to cure. These apothecaries, with their blends of herbs, spices, resins, and minerals known as theriacs, were touted as universal panaceas capable of combating everything from the plague to snake bites. While some ingredients indeed possessed medicinal value, others were not just ineffective but potentially lethal. Mercury, a highly toxic substance, was employed in the fight against syphilis, slowly poisoning its users. White lead powder, used as a cosmetic, gradually poisoned those who adorned themselves with it, their beauty fading as their health deteriorated. And let us not forget the mandrake root, with its human-like shape steeped in superstition and magical thinking, believed to scream when uprooted, cursing the one who dared to disturb its slumber. Despite these questionable practices, medieval apothecaries were the pharmacists of their day, employing the knowledge and resources at their disposal to foster healing. In an era where understanding was as much about belief as it was about science, these healers crafted remedies that were part science, part folklore, and wholly human. Oh, the marvel of herbs, those silent healers of our ailments, whose secrets have been whispered through the ages. Even today, modern herbalists continue to harness the potent magic of plants, a testament to the enduring wisdom of those who once walked the earth with an intimate understanding of nature's pharmacy. Imagine then the next time you cradle a warm cup of peppermint tea, feeling its gentle touch on an upset stomach, or when you reach for an aloe vera salve to calm a fiery burn. You are not just treating symptoms. You are partaking in centuries of herbal lore. In the tranquil, scented silence of the monastery garden, amidst the quiet whispers of the apothecary shop, the art of plant medicine thrived, blossoming through the Middle Ages. This tradition, steeped in the knowledge of our forebears, is one we should hold dear and honor in our hearts today. But alas, no herb, No blessed amulet nor any balm could shield the medieval souls from the darkest shadow that loomed over their world, the Black Death. This ghastly plague, a specter of death itself, swept through Eurasia and North Africa in the 14th century, claiming an unimaginable toll of 75 to 200 million lives. It all began in 1347 when a ship, a harbinger of doom, arrived from the Crimea into the Sicilian port of Messina. What a sight it must have been. The crew either dead or dying, their bodies marred by grotesque black boils oozing with pus and blood, a true ship of death. From Sicily, the disease spread like wildfire carried by the fleas that found home on the backs of rats. The plague manifested in three sinister forms: the bubonic, with its swollen, agonizing lymph nodes known as buboes; the pneumonic, a ruthless lung infection; and the septicemic, which infected the very blood of its victims, leading to a swift and often fatal demise within days of the first signs. In cities like Paris and London, where life pulsed closely together, the dead lay in the streets, their numbers overwhelming the sacred grounds meant for their rest. The Italian writer Boccaccio, in his vivid recount of Florence, painted a scene so dire, so crowded with death, that consecrated ground became a luxury, each person yearning for a dignified burial. Yet so many left unburied. Oh, what a time of despair, where life hung by such a fragile thread. How did they cope? How did they find solace? In the somber shadows of family graves, the medieval world grappled with an unseen terror. Cemeteries already swollen with the dead forced the living to dig cavernous trenches, where hundreds of souls were hastily interred. Imagine the chilling sight, the earth gaping wide to swallow the multitude of the fallen. This relentless adversary, the plague, baffled all. Theories abounded, none more pervasive than the ancient Greek notion of miasma, bad air, a sinister breath of death wafting from rotting flesh, fetid pools and noxious vapors believed to corrupt the very air they breathed. What could explain such a calamity? Some saw divine retribution, a celestial rebuke for humanity's moral decay. The chronicles of Henry Knighton echoed this despair. The judgment of God sent this calamity to punish the sins of men, for the people were corrupt and depraved. The land was alive with the cries of flagellants, their whips a grim symphony of penance, as they sought to cleanse society of its sins. Yet amidst this chaos, scapegoats emerged. The marginalized lepers, beggars, and the outsiders were accused and persecuted, their suffering a grim reflection of society's fear and ignorance. In an echo of tragedy, the Jewish communities bore the brunt of baseless accusations. Their wells poisoned, their lives in peril. They faced flames or exile, their innocence lost to the hysteria of the time. Meanwhile, the brave souls who cared for the sick faced their own battles. Medieval physicians, devoid of modern medical knowledge, clung to ancient remedies, their treatments a desperate dance with death. Bloodletting, vomiting, and the application of odorous ointments were their weapons against the plague, futile as they were. Dressed in long leather cloaks and beaked masks filled with herbs and spices, doctors and nurses presented a macabre image, their efforts to shield themselves from the miasma as vain as their attempts to cure the sick. A 17th century physician's account paints this eerie tableau, a scene both haunting and poignant. Imagine the sight: a nose not mere inches, but half a foot long, fashioned into the likeness of a bird's beak, stuffed with sweet perfumes. Beneath this bizarre ensemble, the plague doctor dons boots crafted from the finest Moroccan leather breeches, from the skin of goats, a blouse of smooth skin, and thick gloves that shield his hands. His attire is completed with a hat and glasses, transforming him into a figure both surreal and terrifying. One shudders to envision the chilling dread that must have gripped the hearts of medieval townsfolk as this spectral figure made his rounds. The once vibrant market square, now a ghostly echo of its former self, stands forsaken, with only the mournful howls of stray dogs and the vacant stares of orphaned children to break the silence. The air, thick with the stench of decay, carries the somber tolling of bells, each peal a mournful announcement of another life claimed by the plague. With a heavy heart, the doctor approaches a modest wooden dwelling, his knock on the door a grim herald of sorrow. A woman, her face etched with the lines of grief, opens the door. Her eyes, wild with despair, guide him into a room where death lingers like an uninvited guest. Her husband, once robust, now lies on a straw pallet, his body racked with fever, his skin a canvas of purplish-black sores. The doctor, with the tools of his trade, crushed marigold and aloe, a tonic of elderberry and honey prayers, for divine intervention attempts to soothe the man's suffering. Yet deep within, he knows his efforts are as fleeting as the morning mist. This man, like so many before him, will soon be carried away to join the masses in the plague pits, leaving behind a family shattered by loss. This scene, repeated endlessly across continents, painted a grim tableau of the 14th century. The Black Death, with its merciless sweep, reshaped societies, decimating populations, and upending the very structures of trade politics and faith. However, amidst this bleak narrative, one might ponder, were there not glimmers of light? Indeed, the scarcity of labor post-plague ushered in an era where the survivors could demand better wages, improved working conditions, a silver lining to this otherwise dark cloud. In the wake of the Black Death, this merciless sweep, the peasantry, once the backbone of medieval society, found their faith shaken. The church, their supposed guardian, faltered in its divine duty to shield them from the pestilence, leading to a profound questioning of its authority. What use is a shepherd who cannot protect his flock? The people cried out, their voices rising in a call for reform. The Grim Reaper's indiscriminate scythe cut down not just the common folk, but also the skilled artisans and brilliant scholars, leaving a void that spurred a renaissance of innovation. In their desperate bid to reclaim what was lost, survivors rebuilt with fervor, their efforts laying the groundwork for progress. Most crucially, this cataclysmic event forced medieval society to confront its ignorance about disease, how it spread, and why it struck so mercilessly. Public health, previously an afterthought, surged to the forefront of societal concerns. Cities once teeming with filth began to embrace quarantine, enhance sanitation, and pioneer rudimentary forms of contact tracing to curb the relentless spread of outbreaks. Though centuries would pass before the germ theory of disease was universally accepted, the harsh lessons of the plague set humanity on a path towards more sophisticated methods of infection control. How can we prevent such devastation again? Became a rallying cry pushing forward the boundaries of medical science. The medieval doctors and caregivers, though their methods might seem misguided by today's standards, were the unsung heroes whose tireless efforts planted the seeds for scientific medicine and epidemiology. In the crucible of the Black Death, from the ashes of despair, a new understanding of disease treatment began to emerge. This nascent knowledge would eventually blossom into the development of antibiotics, vaccines, and the rigorous practice of evidence-based medicine. Thus, as we delve into the annals of medieval medicine, let us not forget that progress often sprouts from the darkest of times. We owe a profound debt to those healers of old who, with limited knowledge and primitive tools, endeavored to care for the afflicted. Their struggles, their sacrifices, and their hard-won insights provide both a cautionary narrative and a wellspring of wisdom about the art of healing and protecting public health. Let us journey through the ever-shifting terrain of human health and resilience in our own era with the same valor, empathy, and insatiable quest for understanding that once fueled the healers of antiquity. Oh, how the echoes of their wisdom reverberate through time. How might we in our modern challenges draw strength from the same wellspring of courage that they did? Let us remember, even in our darkest hours, that the flame of hope and advancement continues to flicker brightly, a beacon in the night. Imagine the medieval tapestry of medicine in Europe, a rich weave of ancient wisdom folk traditions, religious beliefs, and the shadows of superstition. Before the advent of microscopes and the revolutionary germ theory, the true culprits behind illnesses remained elusive, cloaked in the enigma of the unknown. For the medieval physician faced with the task of healing, the initial recourse was often to the venerated teachings of Galen, the ancient Greek physician, whose theories on the balance of the four humors, blood yellow bile, black bile, and phlegm, dominated medical thought for over a millennium. Consider a patient afflicted with fever and listlessness. The doctor might diagnose an excess of phlegm and prescribe a remedy both hot and dry to recalibrate the body's equilibrium. Yet not every mind in the medical field bowed to Galen's doctrines without a murmur of dissent. In the 12th century, a remarkable figure emerged, Hildegard of Bingen. Born into nobility in the Rhineland, Hildegard's path led her to the cloisters of a Benedictine monastery where she received an education that was rare for women of her era. As she matured, Hildegard was not only a visionary in spiritual realms, documenting her mystical experiences in theological and philosophical texts, but also a keen observer of the natural world and human physiology. Her works, Physica and Cause et Cure, reflect her unique synthesis of observation and healing practice. How extraordinary that amidst the constraints of her time she dared to question the established medical dogmas. In the heart of her convictions, while embracing the concept of the four humors, Hildegard of Bingen championed the profound significance of a prevention, entwining the physical and spiritual dimensions of health with a seamless thread. With an artisan's touch, she recommended natural remedies, each herb, each gemstone, each morsel of food chosen with meticulous care to restore the body's natural equilibrium and zest for life. All of creation is at the disposal of humankind. She proclaimed, her voice echoing through the annals of time. We must work with it in order to draw sustenance from it. Her belief that the Almighty intended for rational beings to nurture their physical temples. Imagine, if you will, the medieval world where the idea of divine cures woven into the fabric of nature was as common as the air they breathed. Within the cloistered walls of monasteries, monks and nuns tended to lush herb gardens, these green sanctuaries serving as living pharmacies, gifts from the divine. Yet for all their wisdom, the medieval healers' tools against disease were woefully scant. Oh, how fragile life seemed in an era devoid of modern medicine. Even the slightest scratch or sniffle could turn deadly with infection lurking around every corner. When plagues and leprosy ravaged the populace, physicians could only watch their hands, tied by the limitations of their time. Leprosy, or Hansen's disease, was a particularly cruel adversary. It gnawed at the skin, nerves, and mucous membranes, leaving behind a trail of disfigurement and despair. As the disease progressed, it was not uncommon to see fingers and toes, once whole, now shortened and twisted by the relentless absorption of cartilage. What theories did medieval minds conjure to explain such a calamity? Some whispered of imbalanced humors, an overabundance of black bile perhaps, while others pondered if this affliction was not a curse, but a test of faith and resilience. Once upon a grim era, the afflicted souls were cruelly marked by society as sinners, bearing the weight of divine retribution for their supposed transgressions. Oh, how the stigma of this dreadful ailment cast them into the shadows. Lepers, as they were branded, were exiled to the desolate fringes of civilization, where they languished in colonies far removed from the bustling heart of community life. Imagine the sorrow of these outcasts compelled to announce their presence with the mournful toll of a bell or the sharp clack of a clapper when they dared approach the realms of the living. Their existence was a bleak tapestry of isolation, where the only melody was the desperate plea for alms to sustain their meager lives. In those days, the treatments offered were but whispers of hope, often as harsh as the disease itself. Physicians, in their desperate quest to heal, resorted to bloodletting and purging, attempting to restore the body's balance. Others prescribed ointments and salves, seeking to quell the fiery eruptions on the skin. Leper hospital sanctuaries run by the benevolent monastic orders offered a semblance of care, a refuge from the world's scorn, though not the cure the afflicted so desperately sought. Yet as time wore on, this fearsome scourge, known today as leprosy, began to wane in Europe, fading like a ghost at the dawn of the late Middle Ages. Historians ponder if the very pathogen itself had perhaps evolved, becoming less ferocious. But alas, the respite was fleeting. A new terror was poised to unleash its wrath upon the medieval world. In the fateful year of 1347, ships from the Crimea laden with more than just cargo docked in Sicily. From these vessels, a cataclysmic plague was unleashed destined to decimate over a third of Europe's population. The invisible assassin, later known as Yersinia pestis, was carried by fleas themselves unwitting accomplices of the black rats that infested the merchant ships. The plague manifested in three horrifying forms: bubonic, pneumonic, and septicemic, each a grim reaper in its own right. The bubonic plague, the most widespread, tortured its victims with grotesque swellings, buboes in the lymph nodes, a grotesque testament to the body's battle against the invader. Fever chills and the relentless grip of muscle cramps signaled the onset of this ghastly fate. Helpless medieval physicians stood by their usual remedies, as futile as whispers against a storm. What could they do but watch as the relentless tide of the Black Death swept through the land? Amidst the relentless march of the Black Death, desperate measures like bloodletting and purging proved futile, offering no respite from the disease's cruel grip. Physicians, in a misguided attempt to alleviate the suffering, resorted to lancing the buboes, hoping to expel the foul humors within, only to hasten the decline of their already fragile patients. As death's tally soared and panic seized the hearts of the populace, many sought solace in the spiritual believing that divine wrath had descended upon them for their collective sins. Processions of flagellants' bodies writhing under self-inflicted lashes paraded through the countryside, their pain a plea for mercy. Yet in this time of terror, darker human instincts surfaced. Jews, foreigners, and the marginalized became scapegoats, victims of a violent purge as fear morphed into cruelty. Amid this maelstrom of despair, a new silhouette appeared on the medical horizon: the plague doctor. Enveloped in protective leather, their eyes shielded by glass, in a beak-like mask filled with aromatic herbs, to fend off the miasma, these figures were both savior and specter. They traversed from village to hamlet, offering their grim services to the stricken. Among them was a Frenchman, Nostradamus, who before his prophetic fame served as a plague physician in Provence during the 1520s. He concocted remedies like the rose pill, a blend of herbs, flowers, and spices, claiming some success, though the reality was starkly different. The Black Death, in its relentless sweep, claimed between 75 to 200 million lives, a loss so vast it strains the imagination. Yet from this abyss of death and despair, the seeds of change were sown. The plague, recurring in waves, left scars on the psyche of humanity, but it also ignited a spark, a realization among officials that only through coordinated efforts could such a calamity be mitigated in the future. How could a society recover from such devastation? The answer lay not just in mourning the past, but in forging a new path forward. In the shadow of death, cities rose to the challenge of safeguarding their citizens. Public health boards were appointed with fervor, their mission clear: to halt the relentless march of epidemic diseases through vigilant sanitation, the isolation of the sick, and the regulation of those who held the power to heal. Oh, how these guardians of health stood as sentinels against the invisible foe. And as the Renaissance dawned, a new light was cast upon the ancient mysteries of the human form. Scholars like Andreas Vesalius, with scalpel and quill, embarked on a quest to unravel the secrets hidden beneath the skin, their dissections and detailed illustrations laying the groundwork for a revolution in medicine that would echo through the ages. Yet for those living in the Middle Ages, the enigma of health and disease often seemed to reside in the divine realm. Imagine, if you will, the tapestry of medieval healthcare woven with threads of the spiritual and the practical, the age-old and the groundbreaking. From the herb gardens nurtured by visionaries like Hildegard of Bingen to the eerie protective robes donned by plague doctors, these healers marshaled every ounce of knowledge and tool at their command in a valiant battle against the ever-looming specter of sickness and death. It's tempting from our modern perch to dismiss medieval medicine as a quaint relic of superstition and simplistic cures. But let us not forget, these were not fools but humans striving with all they had in a world where the darkness of ignorance was only pierced by the flickering light of fire. They wrestled with the enigma of the body and the natural world, their efforts a testament to the human spirit's relentless pursuit of understanding. Amidst this darkness, however, there shone beacons of progress. Universities began to flourish. Medical education became more systematic, and hospitals transformed from mere shelters for the destitute into places of organized care. The practice of medicine, once a mosaic of ancient wisdom and local folklore, started to evolve, hinting at the dawn of a new era in healing. As the Middle Ages unfolded, the tapestry of medicine grew richer and more intricate. Watch 2748. More than anything, there emerged a profound awakening to the critical role that public health measures could have in staving off the specter of disease. Picture medieval societies taking bold collective action, from the isolation of lepers to the somber sealing of homes plagued by pestilence. These were but the first tentative steps on the arduous journey to the modern era of medicine, yet they were steps marked by the bravery, empathy, and inquisitive spirit of individuals in an era cloaked in uncertainty. When 2809, heroes like Hildegard of Bingen, Trotta of Salerno, and the enigmatic plague doctors laboring in the shadows. These were the pioneers who set the stage for the medical marvels to follow. 28. When we look back through the veil of time, it's easy to see only the gloom and agony of a world so unlike our own. Yet let us not forget the resilience and creativity of the human soul, the relentless pursuit of knowledge and healing. 28:59. Imagine the medieval physician poring over ancient manuscripts by the flickering candlelight, seeking answers in the stars and the herbs of the earth. The weary monk, his prayer a whisper, his touch a comfort to the fevered. And the steadfast midwife, a custodian of ancient wisdom, ushering new life into existence. These were the faces of medieval medicine warriors in the timeless battle against disease and death. 1:29-26. Though their techniques may now seem alien, their legacy lives on, woven into the very fabric of our ongoing quest to alleviate pain and extend life. As the night deepens, let us dream of a world where their hard-won knowledge and bravery lit the path for the medical miracles we embrace today. Today, as we ponder the tapestry of medieval healthcare, let us not forget the profound debt we owe to those dedicated souls who, with the most rudimentary tools at their disposal, faced the darkness with unwavering hope. Ah, what courage they must have possessed. Imagine, if you will, the healers of yore weaving together threads of ancient wisdom, folk traditions, religious fervor, and the stark realities of a world before modern medicine. From our enlightened perch, it might be tempting to dismiss their efforts as quaint or misguided. Yet we must pause and reflect. These were not the bumbling fools or deceitful tricksters of legend. No, they were brave individuals confronting the specters of disease and injury in an age before the revelations of germ theory, before the marvel of antibiotics, before even the basics of cleanliness were understood. Among these valiant figures stands Trotula of Salerno, a woman of the 12th century from the sun-kissed city of Salerno in southern Italy. How extraordinary was she, not only as a female physician in a predominantly male field, but also as an author whose words on medical practice echoed through time. Salerno, where Trotula thrived, was a beacon of learning in those shadowy medieval times. Its medical school, a magnet for minds across Europe, was unusually progressive. Here, both men and women could learn, and indeed several women graced its faculty. It was in this enlightened enclave that Trotula received her extensive medical education and set up her practice, becoming a beacon of knowledge and care. Trotula's expertise was in the realm of women's health, a domain where her influence was as profound as it was pioneering. She penned texts that became cornerstones in the treatment of infertility, menstrual disorders, and the perils of childbirth. Oh, to have been a patient or a student under her care, where knowledge was not just a tool but a beacon of hope, in a time when hope was often all there was. Her works, like seas on the wind, were scattered far and wide, translated and cherished, serving as guiding stars for countless generations following her passing. But Trotter was not merely a dreamer of theories. She was a doer, a healer with hands that touched the lives of all, from the opulent palaces of royalty to the humblest hovels of the destitute. Imagine her a beacon of compassion in a time when many physicians turned their backs on those most in need, choosing instead the comfort of the wealthy. Her heart was a sanctuary where all were welcome, her dedication unwavering. Yet the sands of time, in their relentless march, buried Trotter's legacy beneath layers of forgetfulness. Her stories, her life's work were often misattributed to men, their brilliance dimmed by the shadows of gender bias. Only in our recent days have scholars like archaeologists of history begun to unearth her true contributions, shining a light on this pioneering woman in medicine. Oh, the irony that in an era often cloaked in darkness, there existed such bright glimmers of humanity, of individuals like Trotter, who pursued knowledge with fervor, defied societal norms, and toiled endlessly to ease the suffering of others. Trotter's tale is not just her own, it echoes the often muted contributions of women to the tapestry of science and medicine. As we delve deeper into the annals of medieval healthcare, we will meet more such figures, men and women alike, who sought to unravel the mysteries of the human body and concoct remedies for the myriad maladies afflicting their times. Their methods, while perhaps quaint or perilous by today's standards, were crucial stepping stones on the arduous journey to modern medicine. In this medieval landscape, one practice stood as a testament to human ingenuity in the universal quest for healing herbal medicine. From the lowliest peasant to the mightiest noble, all turned to the green bounty of the earth for cures, for health, for hope. Medieval herbal medicine was far more than mere folklore. It was a sophisticated science with roots entwined with the wisdom of ancient civilizations like Egypt, Greece, and Rome. Imagine healers of the Middle Ages, their knowledge as vast as the field's forests and meticulously tended gardens from which they harvested their potent plants. These wise practitioners knew precisely how to craft herbal remedies into teas, tinctures, poultices, ointments, and powders, each designed to address specific ailments and restore balance to the body. Ah, the herbs they cherished: sage with its antiseptic and digestive virtues, rosemary whispered to enhance memory and soothe aching muscles, and chamomile, a gentle balm for the soul. Then there was yarrow, the staunch ally in stopping bleeding and mending wounds. But the list extends further: St. John's wort, a beacon of hope against depression; valerian, the guardian of sleep; and garlic, the humble yet mighty warrior against myriad afflictions from toothaches to the dreaded plague. Yet this ancient practice was not without its perils. Some herbs like foxglove and belladonna could be as deadly as they were healing if mishandled. The absence of standardized measures meant that the effectiveness of these remedies could fluctuate dramatically, influenced by the time of harvest, storage methods, and the healer's expertise. Despite these challenges, herbal medicine stood as the first bastion against sickness, in those times often the sole shield, when modern medicine was but a distant dream. For the common folk, a physician's visit was a rare luxury reserved for dire circumstances. Instead, they turned to local healers, wise women, and their own inherited knowledge to alleviate daily discomforts: headaches, indigestion, skin rashes. The crafting of these herbal concoctions was a meticulous, labor-intensive art, demanding precision and patience, as these skilled practitioners mixed and measured their hands, guided by tradition and intuition. In the heart of the medieval town, the apothecary's shop stands as a sanctuary of healing, where the air is thick with the rich scents of herbs and oils, each more potent than the last. Envision, if you can, this small, shadowy space where every corner is adorned with shelves groaning under the weight of jars and phials, each one a silent guardian of ancient knowledge, marked with mysterious symbols and Latin inscriptions. At the core of this aromatic haven, the apothecary, a figure of wisdom and patience, labors over his craft. His hands, seasoned by years of meticulous work, dance over a large wooden table, grinding seeds into a fine, life-giving dust that will soon become a balm for the afflicted. Can you not hear the rhythmic sound of mortar against pestle, a symphony of healing? As the sun arcs through the sky, a procession of the townsfolk, each with their own tale of pain, enters his sanctuary. The apothecary listens his ears, tuned to the nuances of their ailments, his mind racing through the annals of his well-thumbed texts. With a blend of compassion and expertise, he crafts remedies tailored to each soul's need. For a woman, her body racked with the pangs of her cycle, he brews a gentle tea from raspberry leaves and cramp bark, its bitterness masked by a touch of sweet honey. Drink this and let nature's touch soothe your pain, he advises with a knowing smile. A man's stomach, a battlefield of digestion, finds relief in a measured concoction of fennel, ginger, and peppermint. Chew this after your meals, the apothecary instructs, and let tranquility return to your belly. And for a child whose laughter is now overshadowed by a persistent cough, he concocts a syrup from wild cherry bark and licorice root. 3 spoonfuls a day, he prescribes, and soon you'll sing again like the lark at dawn. As he works, the apothecary ponders the gravity of his role, the lives hanging in the balance of his expertise. A single misstep, a herb mistaken, or a dose mismeasured could tilt the scales from life to death. Yet in this delicate dance of life, he finds his calling, his pride swelling with each life he touches, each pain he alleviates. Imagine the apothecary, a sanctuary of healing where the tender touch of nature's bounty was summoned to soothe the aches and pains of humanity. Yet this noble craft was no stranger to adversity, a beacon of hope amidst the storms of danger and difficulty. Ah, the peril of accidental poisoning lurked like a silent specter, ever present and ever threatening. But this was not the only trial our apothecaries faced. Picture them standing resolute on the front lines during outbreaks of plague or dysentery, their hands moving with the urgency of life itself as they prepared vast quantities of medicines and protective tonics, working tirelessly under the moon's watchful gaze to meet the desperate needs of their community. Moreover, their shops, these havens of healing, were not untouched by the social and economic tempests of the Middle Ages. In times of war or famine, when the earth withheld its gifts, apothecaries were forced to innovate or settle for less potent substitutes, their shelves a testament to their resilience and ingenuity. Their trade dealing in precious commodities was a magnet for competition, regulation, and even persecution. In darker moments, they were accused of witchcraft or heresy, especially if their cures strayed from the orthodox path, or if they extended their care to the marginalized, the poor, the elderly, those whom society often overlooked. The medieval mind, often clouded with superstition, blurred the lines between medicine and magic, casting a shadow of suspicion or outright hostility upon these healers. Despite these trials, the apothecary shop endured as a steadfast pillar in the fabric of medieval life, a refuge where souls from all walks of life could seek comfort and healing. Though the remedies and methods might shift like sands across regions and epochs, the apothecary's purpose remained unwavering: to harness the essence of their craft to ease pain, restore harmony, and foster recovery. As we delve deeper into the rich tapestry of medieval healthcare, we'll uncover further tales of the narrative of medieval healthcare is not merely an ode to the valiant apothecaries and healers, who with a blend of skill and compassion devoted their lives to the delicate craft of healing. These individuals facing the tempest of adversity, their stories resonate as a profound testament to humanity's unyielding desire to comprehend and safeguard the body's intricate mechanisms, despite the era's shroud of uncertainty and scant knowledge. Yet the chronicle of medieval health extends beyond these solitary figures. It weaves through the tapestry of societal and cultural forces that molded perceptions of sickness, health, and the corporeal form. A pivotal chapter in this saga was undoubtedly the Black Death, that grim specter which haunted the 14th century. Imagine, if you will, the sheer scale of this catastrophe, the Black Death, or the bubonic plague ravaged Europe, Asia, and Africa, extinguishing the lives of an estimated 75 to 200 million souls. Entire villages, once vibrant with life, were silenced in mere months, their echoes lost to time. The plague made its grim debut in Europe in 1347, hitching a ride on the fleas harbored by rats aboard merchant ships from Asia. Like a sinister tide, it surged along trade routes and waterways, seeping into every nook and cranny of the continent within a few short years. The symptoms struck terror into the hearts of all: fevers that consume the body, chills that rack the bones, of profound weakness, and the emergence of dark swollen buboes on the lymph nodes. Death was often swift, claiming victims within days, sometimes mere hours after the onset of symptoms. In the shadow of such overwhelming devastation, medieval societies grappled with the enigma of this plague. Many in their despair turned to religion, interpreting the calamity as divine retribution for mankind's transgressions. Others, in their search for culprits, pointed fingers at minority groups, seeking scapegoats in their fear and confusion. How does one reconcile with the world where life hangs by such a fragile thread? In those dark days, as the Black Death ravaged through the heart of Europe, the air was thick with not just the stench of decay, but also with the whispers of blame. Who could have spread such a vile illness? Was it the Jews, the foreigners, or perhaps through the dark arts of poisoning or sorcery? Oh, the theories were as plentiful as the stars in the night sky. Medical minds grappling in the shadows of understanding often clung to the ancient beliefs of the four humors, or the celestial dance of stars and planets. Some physicians, with a mix of hope and desperation, posited that the plague was a child of corrupted air, a miasma that could be cleansed with the sweet fragrance of herbs and spices. Others, in a bid to purge the body of this unseen enemy, advocated for bloodletting, purging, and the use of poultices to draw out the supposed poisons. Alas, these remedies offered little more than fleeting comfort, and in some tragic instances might have intensified the agony of the afflicted. The real culprit, the Yersinia pestis bacterium harbored by fleas and rats, remained a mystery, cloaked in the ignorance of centuries. Yet amidst this despair, there were flickers of light. City officials, in a surprising act of foresight, began to implement rudimentary public health measures. Quarantines were enforced, corpses were buried with haste, and streets and houses cleansed in an attempt to curb the spread. Were these efforts enough? Perhaps not, but they shone like beacons of early recognition of the crucial roles of sanitation and disease control. The plague also whispered a haunting truth into the ears of the survivors. Life is fleeting, and we are all but threads in the vast tapestry of human society. This realization sparked profound changes in the social fabric, economic systems, and even in the realms of art, literature, and religion. Indeed, the Black Death was not just an end, but a stark, grim dawn of new beginnings. It was a catalyst for the evolution of science, medicine, and public health in Europe, marking a pivotal chapter in history. From this era of despair, the figure of the plague doctor emerged cloaked in mystery and duty, tasked with the somber mission of tending to the sick. In the midst of devastating disease outbreaks, towns and cities would call upon the enigmatic figure of the plague doctor. These dedicated healers were tasked with not only tending to the sick, but also adhering to stringent measures to curb the contagion's spread. Picture the plague doctor, a silhouette of resilience, clad in a long waxed leather coat, gloves, boots, and a wide-brimmed hat, his presence a beacon of hope in a sea of despair. Yet it is the beak-like mask, an icon of the era, that truly captures the imagination. Stuffed with straw, aromatic herbs, and pungent spices, this mask was designed to purify the air, a desperate shield against the invisible miasma of death. Envision a medieval town gripped by the terror of the Black Death. The streets lie silent, save for the somber toll of bells and the ominous rumble of carts collecting the fallen. The air hangs heavy laden with the scent of decay and the smoke from burning herbs, a futile attempt to cleanse the pestilence. From the dim alleyways, the plague doctor emerges a dark apparition, his beak protruding like a grotesque bird of prey. He strides through the town with a long cane, a tool of both distance and diagnosis, moving from house to house, with a blend of grim practicality and resigned fatalism. His remedies are simple yet poignant: a poultice of onions and garlic, a tincture infused with rosemary and sage, a draught of vinegar mixed with water. Each treatment a whisper of hope in the cacophony of despair. Despite his efforts, the doctor knows the battle is often lost before it begins. The plague is a relentless adversary, its fury unyielding. Yet he persists documenting his observations in a journal, a testament to human resilience against an unforgiving foe. Every note, every symptom recorded a silent plea for understanding, for a future where such suffering might be mitigated. The plague doctor in his somber vigil becomes not just a healer, but a chronicler of human endurance. Amidst the relentless advance of the plague, the doctor emerges not merely as a man of science, but as a guardian of the soul. His dedication transcends mere medical practice. It is a sacred mission to alleviate the torment of those in their final desperate hours. His journal, a chronicle of both horror and heroism, captures the essence of humanity's struggle against despair. The pages are steeped in tales of unimaginable anguish, yet they also bear witness to the indomitable spirit of the afflicted. Families united in their grief form a bastion of care, tending to their loved ones with an unwavering resolve. Neighbors in acts of profound kindness assist in the solemn duty of laying the departed to rest. Amidst this maelstrom of misery, moments of compassion shine like beacons, offering fleeting relief from the prevailing darkness. As the epidemic spirals into chaos, the plague doctor becomes an emblematic figure within the town, a beacon of both salvation and sorrow. To some, he is the epitome of valor, a healer who defies death daily to extend a helping hand. To others, he is an ominous figure, a specter whose presence foretells doom. Yet in his own heart, the doctor perceives his role not as that of a hero or a villain, but as a man striving to do his utmost under the weight of impossible odds. He understands his limitations all too well. He cannot rescue everyone from the clutches of the Black Death. Yet he cherishes each life he touches, each moment of solace he provides as a defiant stand against the encroaching shadow. The plague will inevitably reap its grim harvest, and he will stand powerless before its might. But his efforts, his meticulous records, his observations, these will endure. They will bequeath to future generations the seeds from which modern medicine and public health will grow, ensuring that his legacy, though born from tragedy, will foster hope in healing in times to come. The legacy of the plague doctor will not merely fade into the annals as a historical oddity. It will stand eternal as a beacon of the indomitable human spirit, a testament to our innate ability to show compassion and selflessness even when confronted with the abyss of terror. It serves as a poignant reminder that in the bleakest moments, there are those valiant souls who rise to offer aid to mend the broken and to kindle hope. As our exploration through the tapestry of medieval healthcare draws to a close, let us pause to ponder the wisdom that can be gleaned from this epoch, so distant yet so fraught with trials. It is tempting from our lofty perch in the 21st century to dismiss the medieval period as an era shrouded in ignorance and superstition, a time when little advancement was made in the realm of healing and disease treatment. Yet to do so would be to ignore the extraordinary feats and breakthroughs of those medieval healers who, against all odds, endeavored relentlessly to soothe pain and foster well-being. From the aromatic concoctions of the learned apothecary to the noble sacrifices of the plague doctor, medieval medicine was a vibrant, intricate tapestry woven from threads of diverse social, cultural, and intellectual influences. Moreover, the saga of medieval healthcare is not confined to the past. It reverberates through time, echoing in our present. The same specters that haunted medieval practitioners, the relentless march of infectious diseases, the urgent need for robust public health strategies, the paramount importance of compassion and empathy amidst suffering, still shadow us today. Indeed, as we confront our own modern pandemics, might we not turn to the annals of history for both solace and strategy? Can we not find inspiration in the resilience of those who have gone before us, drawing from their well of courage to fortify our own? Let us draw inspiration from the unwavering courage and resilience of our ancestors, who confronted the ghastly specter of the Black Death with a steely resolve and a grace that defies time. In the bleakest moments, let us take solace in the enduring truth that the human spirit has never faltered. It has always found a way to endure, to adapt, to heal. In our hearts, let us carry the legacy of the healers of the Middle Ages, not as figures shrouded in the mists of ignorance, but as companions on the long, arduous journey through medical history. Their sacrifices and contributions are not relics of the past, but beacons for our present. We must honor their memory, learn from their triumphs and tribulations, and let their legacy of compassion, curiosity, and hope propel us towards a world where health and equity are the birthright of all. As we close our eyes to sleep, let our minds wander through the tales of those who battled against all odds, whose lives were a tapestry of struggle, suffering, and ultimately victory. May our dreams be filled with visions of a future where their wisdom and bravery continue to light our path, where the healing arts serve as a sanctuary of comfort and hope for every soul in need. And as night blankets the world in darkness, let us rest with the comforting assurance that no matter how impenetrable the shadows may seem, the dawn will inevitably break, bringing with it the promise of a new day. This vision was not lost on Rahira, whose dream for a hospital dedicated to the needy slowly materialized into reality. St. Bartholomew's at its inception was a modest establishment where a small band of monks devoted themselves to the care of the sick and the poor. The hospital's main ward was a simple, elongated space lined with rows of plain wooden beds, where care was dispensed not based on wealth or status, but on the universal need for healing. Here the monks adhered to a daily rhythm of prayer work and the tender ministration to the ill, embodying the very essence of medieval caregiving. Within the verdant embrace of the hospital gardens, the monks cultivated a trove of medicinal herbs, their hands tenderly coaxing life from the soil. In a quaint apothecary, they would then craft remedies, their minds focused on alleviating pain. Imagine the scene: a monk, his hands stained with the essence of nature, preparing a concoction, his prayers mingling with the scent of herbs, a silent plea for healing. Bloodletting, a treatment steeped in ancient beliefs of balancing bodily humors, was another practice the monks undertook. With a steady hand, they would apply leeches or use fleams, their actions guided by a faith that such measures could restore health. Faith was not merely an adjunct to medicine, it was its very heart, with the monks offering prayers and blessings, their voices, a soothing balm over the suffering souls in their care. As whispers of St. Bartholomew's tender care spread like wildfire, the hospital began to burgeon. New wards blossomed, each one a testament to the growing trust in the institution. Physicians and surgeons, not bound by monastic vows, but trained in the burgeoning universities or through apprenticeships, flocked to the hospital. Here the spiritual and the secular intertwined, a dance of healing, where each step was taken with both faith and knowledge. Yet with growth came challenges. The medieval world was no stranger to the specter of infectious diseases. When plagues or epidemics descended, the hospital could swiftly become a place of despair, with the sick and dying filling every corner. The close quarters, the air thick with the breath of the afflicted, and the rudimentary understanding of contagion meant that illness could leap from one person to another with terrifying ease. In these dire times, the monks did not falter. They toiled with renewed vigor, their spirits undiminished by the overwhelming odds. Despite the limitations of their era's medical knowledge, hospitals like St. Bartholomew's were beacons of hope, not just for healing, but as sanctuaries for the destitute, the homeless, and the sick. For countless individuals, these hospitals were their last desperate chance at care, a glimmer of hope in a world often shadowed by disease. And let us not forget, dear reader, the women who also played pivotal roles in this tapestry of care. Barred from the formalities of university training, they nonetheless served as nurses, midwives, and keepers of folk medicine, their contributions invaluable. Among them was Trotta of Salerno, a 12th century female physician whose story we will soon explore. Now let us turn our gaze to the hallowed halls of old St. Bartholomew's Hospital in those early days. Picture, if you will, the soft, flickering glow of candlelight casting shadows across the faces of the afflicted, each one a story of pain and hope. A monk his steps as gentle as the prayers he whispers moves from one bedside to the next. He offers not just herbal infusions to ease the body's ailments, but also words of comfort, a balm for the weary spirit. In this small sanctuary, the labor of healing stretches through the night, a beacon of solace that would endure for centuries through times of despair and celebration alike. How poignant, how profound the enduring human spirit's drive to nurture and heal. But let us not forget, in this tapestry of care, the women of medieval Europe whose contributions to medicine were as vital as they were often invisible. In a world where men held dominion over the public sphere of health, women faced formidable barriers. The Catholic Church, with its iron grip on hospitals and universities, largely barred women from these sanctuaries of learning and practice. Was it not a grave injustice that the very hands capable of healing were confined to the domestic realm? Yet women's presence in the healing arts was undeniable. They emerged as the unsung guardians of health, the midwives who navigated the treacherous waters of childbirth, a time fraught with peril for both mother and child. In the absence of male physicians, these women stood as sentinels at the threshold of life. Their knowledge, often inherited or learned through the sacred bond of apprenticeship, was their torch in the darkness. They not only facilitated the miracle of birth, but also wielded herbal remedies to mitigate pain and complications. How noble, how necessary their role in the medieval medical landscape, where they were both the bridge and the barrier to life's most profound moments. In the tender days that follow the arrival of a new life, a mother's care is paramount. Yet she is not alone. Beyond the hallowed halls of midwifery, women have emerged as the unsung heroes of health, serving as nurses and caregivers in both hospitals and the heart of their communities. Imagine the medieval hospital, its corridors filled not with the cold sterility of modern medicine, but with the warm, compassionate presence of nuns. These women, though not formally trained in the physician's art, cultivated profound practical knowledge through their daily acts of care, feeding the sick, bathing the weary, and dispensing medicines with a gentle touch. Yet the influence of women in healing extended beyond the walls of these institutions. In villages and towns across Europe, wise women and female healers stood as beacons of hope. They wielded an arsenal of herbal remedies, charms, and rituals to combat the common ailments that plagued their people. This knowledge, passed down through the whispers of generations, was a tapestry woven from both empirical understanding of plant medicine and threads of the supernatural. However, the boundary between healer and heretic was perilously thin in the medieval mind. Women who practiced traditional medicine often found themselves walking a razor's edge, facing accusations of sorcery or heresy, especially as the witch hunts began to cast their dark shadows over Europe. How tragic that the very hands meant to heal were feared as tools of malevolence. Despite these threats, the spirit of these women was indomitable. They continued their sacred work, some even rising to prominence. Take Trotula of Salerno, for instance, a 12th century Italian physician whose name resonates through history. Born into wealth in the early 12th century, Trotula challenged the confines of her time by seeking education in the medical school of Salerno, a place where learning was as vibrant as the Mediterranean sun. Here in this coastal town, she not only learned but also contributed to the canon of medical knowledge, particularly concerning women's health, with texts that would influence generations. Thus, in the face of adversity, these women's stories shine as beacons of resilience and enlightenment, their contributions to medicine echoing through the ages, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit to heal, to nurture, and to defy. From every corner of Europe, students flocked to the school, their minds alight with curiosity and ambition. Among them, Troa, though not officially permitted as a female, managed to infiltrate the sanctum of learning through sheer family influence and her unwavering resolve. March 58 and 46. Her passion, however, was not merely for learning, but for the direly neglected field of women's health. In a time when the medical fraternity, predominantly male, often dismissed or misinterpreted the unique health needs of women, Troa sought to bridge this chasm of ignorance. She embarked on a mission to compile medical texts that address the intimate concerns of women menstruation, fertility, and the profound journey of childbirth. Launched on 5911, her writings, a blend of ancient Greek wisdom and her own first-hand observations, provided not just theoretical knowledge, but also tangible solutions for the ailments women suffered in silence. One of her seminal works, known as the Treatments for Women, or more affectionately the Trotula, became a beacon of hope. This treasure trove of knowledge spanned the gamut from the mysteries of conception to the complexities of menstrual disorders and the delicate issue of uterine prolapse. 5940. The Trotula wasn't just a medical text, it was a manifesto for compassion in healthcare. It urged practitioners to listen, truly listen to the voices of women, to understand their pain and tailor treatments to their unique experiences. Troa's vision for healthcare transcended the written word. She practiced what she preached. In Salerno, she treated not only women but also men, her reputation as a healer spreading like wildfire. 04. How extraordinary, one might muse, that in an era when women were systematically barred from formal education and professional arenas, Troa not only survived but thrived, establishing herself as an authority in medicine. Her influence, like a river carving its path through stone, did not fade with her passing. Instead, her works were eagerly copied, translated, and disseminated across Europe. The Trotula, in particular, became the gold standard in medieval and early modern medical texts. Its enduring popularity speaks volumes of Troa's foresight and the timeless relevance of her insights. Serene 31. Through the annals of time, the story of Trotula of Salerno emerges as a beacon of resilience and knowledge. Imagine the shock and dismay as her invaluable contributions to women's health were overshadowed. Her name often lost to the shadows, or mistakenly credited to male physicians. This erasure is a stark reflection of the pervasive marginalization women endured in the medical chronicles of history. Yet in our era, scholars passionately strive to restore Trotula's rightful place in the medical pantheon, her legacy a powerful testament to the indomitable spirit of knowledge, compassion, and perseverance that can overcome societal shackles. In an age where women's voices were muffled, Trotula stood as a clarion call for the health and dignity of all women. Now, as we delve deeper into the tapestry of medieval healthcare, let us contemplate the tools and remedies these early practitioners like Trotula wielded. Picture a world without the marvels of modern medicine, where healers depended on an intricate alchemy of herbal lore, ancient wisdom, and occasionally perilous and peculiar treatments. The medieval apothecary was a crucible of both genuine medical breakthroughs and the folly of superstition, a dichotomy we will soon explore further. But before we proceed, let us linger a moment to honor the women like Trotula, whose contributions, though often ignored or forgotten, were pivotal in alleviating human suffering and expanding the frontiers of medical understanding. Their stories resonate with a profound human drive to heal, to nurture, and to relieve the pain of others, even against formidable odds. As we close our eyes tonight, let us carry with us a sense of gratitude and awe for these unsung heroines of the medieval medical realm. As the shadow of the Black Death receded and medieval Europe tentatively stepped into recovery, the scars and lessons from this devastating plague would echo through the centuries. The profound loss of life had shaken society to its core, leaving an indelible mark on the collective memory of humanity. The Black Death, like a tempest sweeping through the heart of civilization, left behind deep psychological scars and a profound understanding of human vulnerability. Oh, how the very fabric of society was torn asunder. Yet within this maelstrom of sorrow, there flickered beacons of progress and resilience. The plague, with its merciless grip, forced humanity to confront the dire necessity of public health measures. Quarantine sanitation and the somber task of body disposal emerged not just as necessities, but as nascent science, albeit crudely and inconsistently implemented. In the shadow of death, cities with a newfound resolve began appointing dedicated plague doctors and health officials. This was not merely an administrative adjustment, but a pivotal step towards more organized responses to future calamities. However, the Black Death also laid bare the impotence of medieval medicine's traditional armory. The humoral theories and superstitious concoctions of physicians crumbled under the plague's relentless advance. This failure spurred a renaissance of sorts, a surge in empirical observation, and a thirst for practical knowledge. Surgeons, apothecaries, and lay healers rose in esteem as people desperate for any relief turned to methods that promised visible results. The aftermath of the plague was marked by a surge in the establishment of hospitals and charitable institutions. The overwhelming tide of the sick and dying necessitated new facilities, which over time evolved into specialized centers better equipped to address a spectrum of medical crises. Wealthy patrons touched by the enormity of suffering endowed hospitals and almshouses not only as acts of piety, but as expressions of burgeoning civic duty. Yet as society grappled with these lessons, echoes of the past lingered. The humoral theory with its ancient roots continued to dominate medical discourse for centuries, and the tendrils of superstition still clung to the minds of many. Practices like bloodletting and purging, though harmful, remained entrenched in the healer's repertoire, a testament to the slow pace at which change can come even in the wake of such a cataclysmic event. Even as the whispers of reason began to echo through the halls of medicine, urging for a more logical approach, it was the cataclysmic Black Death that truly set the stage for a profound shift in Western medical thought. This devastating plague, which swept across medieval Europe, laid bare the inadequacies of contemporary medical knowledge. It was in the wake of this dark hour that the seeds of change were sown as people confronted with the stark limits of their understanding, sought new ways to comprehend and combat illness. From our modern perspective, it is tempting to dwell on the medieval era's shortcomings, the absence of antibiotics, the lack of antiseptics, and the rudimentary grasp of human anatomy. These gaps in knowledge undoubtedly led to untold suffering and death. Yet let us not forget the medieval populace was far from primitive or ignorant. They were thrust into a relentless struggle against formidable challenges, armed only with the tools and insights of their time. Consider the ingenuity and compassion that flourished amidst adversity. Monastic healers toiled ceaselessly. Plague doctors made sacrifices, midwives passed down folk wisdom, and philosophers delved into scholarly pursuits. Medieval society marshaled every resource at its disposal to wage war against sickness and foster healing. Their methods, though often flawed and their understanding incomplete, were the bedrock upon which future medical revolutions would be built. As we prepare to embrace slumber, let us hold close a sense of solidarity with our forebears. They too knew the gnawing fear of disease, the piercing sorrow of bereavement, yet they found solace in the bonds of community, the solace of faith in the indomitable human spirit. In their tales, we uncover not merely historical curiosities, but a poignant reminder of our shared humanity echoing through the ages. As our voyage through the chronicles of medieval healthcare draws to a close, let us not forget the enduring spirit of those valiant healers and innovative minds. Their legacy is etched in the very fabric of today's medical landscape, where doctors, nurses, and researchers tirelessly expand the horizons of human knowledge, offering hope and healing to those in distress. Oh, what a journey it has been through time, witnessing the evolution of medicine. If this serene journey through a crucial chapter of medical history has captivated your heart and mind, we implore you hit that like button and do subscribe to our channel. Beyond this, countless other stories beckon, eager to educate, inspire, and perhaps even soothe you into a tranquil rest. And so with a heart full of gratitude, we thank you for joining us on this odyssey. Your comments, likes, shares, and subscriptions fuel our passion to bring more enlightening tales to life. Until we meet again, may sweet dreams and good health envelop you all.